Happy New Year. Welcome to the Heart of New York show. I'm very excited because I got a special guest today, and I can't think of a better way to start the new year than having our guest, Francesca, on today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her, and I don't want to waste any time because we have an abundant amount of information to give to you that can help you, inspire you, and most importantly, give you hope. But let me tell you, we've had Francesca on before, Francesca Amato Benfield. She's an international published author, national forensic ADA expert advocate, and the founder of the Family Justice and Accountability Act. Francesca, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me back.
I want her to get into what's happening and what's going to happen and what she's working on in the future, but she's got something very exciting that's happening Monday.
My sister, who you've had on the program before, Toni Jean Kolpinski, and I have received a private invitation to the Neds Club in Washington, D.C. For this Monday for a Make America Healthy Again event. I'm so excited.
That is absolutely fantastic. Now, you just got an invitation in the mail just like that. How did it lead up to, wait a minute, you're going to one of the most fascinating events that I can think of at the beginning of the year, down there with a group of people that I admire and like being around also. So how did you get in the doors?
It can only be the Lord, but what happened is with the...
Remember that. She said it could only be the Lord.
It can only be the Lord. I drafted the Family Justice and Accountability Act. It took me 2 years, and I've been back and forth to D.C., to Congress members all during the government shutdown because we had that as an adversity in our way. And we worked with, I had bipartisan support with Congress members for this proposed bill, which we'll talk about. Mm-hmm. And through these connections, I met someone who's close with Robert F. Kennedy, and we were able to get this invite, which I'm so excited. I can't even tell you.
Now, when you get there, what is it have you presented something to Maha, or are you going to? And how does that work?
So, as you know, my sister is a holistic practitioner, board certified holistic practitioner. So
an excellent one.
That's her area. For me, I'm obviously regarding the legal aspect of the family court and the damages it's caused families. But how I fit into this is I was the one that got the connection, but also one of the things that we are trying to get accomplished is the medical kidnap aspect of what's happening in family courts. And Robert F. Kennedy believes in that as well. Therefore, I have drafted an executive order, and that went through the certain people, names I can't say, and that is over with Robert F. Kennedy, and on its way to our president.
So you drafted an executive, they call it an executive order.
Correct.
All right. Mm-hmm. Which is a pitch of what you're trying to do, to get into Maha.
Not that. That's just something that we use. That's something that I happen to have a connection for because that's part of my work. So I drafted a 96-page proposed bill called the Family Justice and Accountability Act. That takes time to get a bill number. So
right.
we have bipartisan support right now, but sponsorship is different than support. Sponsorship means that someone has picked it up and they're going to put a bill number,
right.
which is the area that we're at right now. Right now we're in the process of getting the bill number, and there's some things we kind of have to hash out. It's my first bill, so it's some things that we're hashing out.
And then it becomes law.
And then, and with my bill, though, it's a little bit different. Yes, then it becomes law, but my bill is very different than a lot of bills that have been drafted, whereby they are making a new law. I'm just trying to enforce the laws we already have. The Constitution, we already have. The Articles of Human Rights, we already
right.
have. And I'm an expert forensic ADA, Americans with Disability Act advocate nationwide, and I've been putting that as an enforcement in this bill. It's a proposed bill.
Now, what's the Forensic Disability Act for people that don't know?
So the ADA is the Americans with Disability
right.
Act. There's titles 1, 2, and 3. I specialize in 2, although I do handle 1 and 3. 2 has to do with courts and government entities that are in violation of the ADA, and that's how I help my clients. That's one of the ways that I help my clients. And being a forensic expert means that I know all the codifications, and I can take anybody's case that comes to me, and I can tailor their accommodations and also educate the judges and the attorneys and anybody that comes my way that are harming these families, and I can ensure that they follow the laws.
Can you give, not mention any names or anything like,
Yeah.
Can you give an example of a case that they came, and how do they know about coming to you, these people?
Well, I'm pretty well known at this point. I've been doing this for over 18 and a half years, so I'm all over
Wonderful.
the internet, and interviews like yourself, or
Wonderful.
my own television programming, different Now Network TV, and different things that I've been on for years. So clients do know, and then word of mouth, and so on and so forth, for all these years that I've been doing it.
And so the family that's having specific problems,
Yeah.
they'll come to you.
Yeah, they'll come to me, and what I'll do is I'll invoke their rights in family court as a non-attorney. So I'm federally protected under the ADA. So
What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is that under the ADA,
Right.
it's like a genuine immunity, if you will. I guess that's a kind of a way to explain it. Where under the ADA, or under the Constitution, or under the Articles of Human Rights, in which I'm also deemed an expert, we have federal protections. So I just kind of invoke those rights in the courts. I do
Right.
it in writing. Therefore, so this way, either in the court would be the ADA compliance person that I would work with, and then I have to kind of educate the judges because they're not versed properly. Neither are the attorneys. So I have to kind of verse them as a non-attorney. So these federal rights are protective rights that we have, and they protect us civilly and criminally as long as we stay within the boundaries of those protective rights.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the family court and CPS and law enforcement and just different places a lot of times are not versed in the ADA, the Americans with Disability Act, and so families suffer. Either they have a disability, or a disability is actually produced in the middle of the trauma associated with having to deal with family court, or having to deal with something that went wrong. CPS showed up at your door.
So you have to understand, she's not talking about necessarily a physical disability like a wounded warrior or something like.
right.
She's talking family disabilities.
What I'm talking about is it could be anything. It's called an invisible disability.
Okay.
So most people will say, oh, someone has a disability because they see them in a wheelchair, or they might see them with a hearing aid attached. What I primarily handle is cases where someone is in the middle of trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder. That's a trauma-associated invisible disability that you might not recognize right away, or depression or cancer, something that you might not see. And a lot of times judges and attorneys, they're not versed in that. They should be, okay? They're held to that standard. And so I have to come in, and I do it in writing. I put all the ADA accommodations to make sure that the client receives those accommodations in court.
Right.
And I draft something for the client that goes to the ADA compliance person, which is mandated and required through the Department of Justice. And the courts are not following it properly. So over these years, I've been basically educating them through the process that I use before these judges. And then the judges know by that time that court starts for a hearing or a mediation or a trial. They have it all in writing, so that at that point they understand, okay, these are serious laws. We have to follow them, and that's
Right.
what I do. So I ensure that the client is receiving whatever accommodations they need so they can have what's called equal footing in the court.
And you're literally teaching the courts.
While court, like literally while it's in session, I'm educating them.
No kidding.
It's mind-blowing because this is a doorway that's never been really open practically, so they're not following it. And so what's happening is the Department of Justice it tells you through the federal codifications that judges are supposed to do this under Title II of the ADA. They're supposed to not grant or deny ADA accommodations. They don't have the right to do that, although they think they do. And I'll give you an example. If somebody came in with a wheelchair,
Right.
you would know, and I would know, and a judge would know, I can't grant or deny that wheelchair. It's no different with an invisible injury like PTSD or depression or anxiety or whatever it may be. And it doesn't have to be a diagnosed disability either.
Right.
Because you could be in trauma just because you're in court and you're losing your children, or your children are in harm's way. You're in trauma. So you have the right to these ADA accommodations or equal access in the court. Okay, and these judges, a lot of times what they'll do is I'll give them the list of what the client needs, because I do a complete, many sessions with the client prior to us entering court, and then the judge will go, okay, we're going to grant this or we're going to deny that. They cannot do that by law. So what I do is I'm kind of like...
What do you mean they can't do it by law?
They can't grant or deny it, no different than a wheelchair access. You have to just say, these are the accommodations so-and-so needs.
And let it be,
We must respect
and it has
that.
to be done.
Period. It just has to be done.
So they can't disagree and be a problem.
No, and they do all over the country. So these are issues that I have put into the Family Justice and Accountability Act.
Right.
Because these are laws we already have. We have laws that we're fighting for that we already have.
That doesn't
So
make sense.
It's crazy. And so when I go to Congress...
Whose fault is that?
It's our country on an overall,
Is
our
it
government.
the judge's fault?
The judges, I mean, there's so many people that I would say are at fault for this, and I think the American people are learning now. We, the people, are in our rightful place, and that's something that I've been privileged to do and blessed to do, is to bring the people to Congress. I
Right.
had the largest amount of families in October 20th and 24th, 20th and 21st, down in Washington, D.C. We had over 250 families that showed up. We're doubling and possibly even tripling that number in DC
That's
coming
wonderful.
up. And what we're doing is we're handshaking with our Congress members. We have bipartisan support, and so the Family Justice and Accountability Act is not just the bill. It is a movement. It is a powerful movement of hundreds of thousands of families that have been negatively impacted by family court or CPS or law enforcement or what have you, saying, hey, Congress members, these are your constituents. These are your Congress members.
Right.
Hi, nice to meet you. We, the people, are the authority here. You are our employees. We are your employers.
Right.
They're getting into their rightful place. It's the most amazing thing. And so this has become a movement that's just taken on a life of its own. It's moving monumentally. It is making history right now, and we're so excited about
So
it.
what you're doing is actually, it's already implemented, you're saying, these as law, and
Yeah.
but they haven't been doing it the right way.
Right.
And you're coming in, making it right.
What's happened is over decades, since 1962, when family court pretty much started, over decades, these judges are not honoring the Constitution they take an oath to. Neither are their attorneys. And so when we see these tragedies every day, and what I've witnessed over 18 and a half years across the country, I've witnessed it because I court watch judges all over the entire country,
Right.
all these years. I'm saying, you know what, we're literally going around the mountain and around and around and around.
Right.
And these bills that are being drafted and these bills that are being pushed and these bills that are passing are just keeping people in the same horrible place where their children are suffering, where their families are being ripped apart, where there's no due process in these family courts, where judges are making horrible, irresponsible court orders that are just damaging families and causing a mental health and physical health crisis in our country. When you're destroying the home, which is what the enemy wants to do. He wants to destroy the home, right?
Now, tell the people what you mean by enemy out there.
Well, the enemy, I mean the devil, period. And so, and that's what the enemy wants to do. He wants to destroy the home.
Right.
And so what we're doing is we are making sure that these are solutions-based answers, and we're not going to keep going around the same mountain. So the adversity that's coming against me is amazing.
Oh, I could imagine.
It's amazing
I could
to me,
imagine.
the people that, like, hundreds of thousands of families are in support.
Right.
But then you've got these people that are just, especially on social media, that will work as little devils, basically, trying
Right.
to attack what we're doing,
Right.
trying everything they can to stop it. And the Lord just keeps blessing and blessing and blessing, because this is what he wants to do. He wants to part this Red Sea, so to speak,
Sure,
and
absolutely.
set these people free once and for all.
I had one minister tell me, listen, Pete, if you're not swimming upstream, you are going in the wrong direction. It's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, and I remember our president telling he was telling someone, he said, if we weren't getting all these tax, we'd be doing something wrong.
That's right. That's right.
And that's just, unfortunately, that's the way it is since they ate the apple. Anyway, so you got Secretary Kennedy's ear on this down
So we
there.
do, because through the same person, which I can't say, we have the executive order portion. So that's separate from the bill. That's
Right.
something that I try to do because we can do it more. An executive order can be signed a lot faster. Literally, once it gets in front of the president, it can be signed a lot faster. So this next open door for Monday is just huge for us. So what the Lord did is he told me, listen, now is the time to start presenting this bill to the people. Bring the people with you. No one's ever done that before. Usually when you go to get a bill enacted,
Right.
you go by yourself, or you go maybe with a team. You do that, but the Lord told me to bring the families with me, the families that suffered over the decades of family court.
Right.
He said, bring them with you. They'll heal along the way.
All right, go ahead.
So-
you got Secretary Kennedy's ear.
Yeah, so with Secretary Kennedy's ear, that's through the same person who gave us the private invitation to the Neds Club.
Right.
And he's friends with Kennedy, which is so amazing. And that he's got the executive order at this point in time, which will lead to the president. Now, everything in the executive order, you have to kind of look at it this way. There's a lot to the act itself. It's 96 pages. It's very comprehensive.
Nice.
The executive order, I've had to, it's shorter and it's cut and dry. So it's basically enforce the Constitution, enforce the Articles of Human Rights, enforce the Americans with Disability Act, and stop medical kidnapping. okay?
You got to,
that's a whole other- it's a whole other.
what is medical kidnapping?
So medical kidnapping is when you have somebody that kind of, generally, a lot of times, it's also not a non-licensed or non-medical clinician that's just making a determination that there's something wrong with a child, for example, medically, okay? And they just don't even don't allow the parents to go for a second opinion, may not know enough about it, and just report right away, Child Protective Services,
goodness.
report, and the child's ripped away. And you have no idea the tragedies that we've seen over the decades. For example, just recently, a child was given milk that was allergic to milk, and the child is now passed away. The child's now unalive through the system, taking the child. And this happens so much. I can't even begin to tell you how much this happens, where a child might have a bone disease or something, and they think that the parent beat them when it wasn't that at all. And the parent's trying to tell them that they won't listen, and they just rip the children away. And if you think about it, if you take a child, and you without really asking questions or not having qualified people, because a lot of these CPS workers, and you guys know I call them child predator services, a lot of these CPS workers, they're not trained in that. They're not licensed medical clinicians or
They
what
don't
have
even
you.
care.
They don't even care. They have
Yeah.
a quota to reach. And they go ahead and take children. They take them, grab their clothes in a baggie, and out they go to another stranger's house. Abuse happens in those homes. And as we know, there's even sometimes these kids go through 20 homes a year. I mean, that's abusive in and of itself. It's abuse
Oh,
just
my
taking and
goodness.
separating them.
That many, huh?
It's so horrible. But going back to like initially, if you take a child and you remove them from one place to another, and let's say that child has certain medical condition, that they're on a medication or whatever they're on, that meds are not going with them because it's happened. It goes so quickly. It happens so fast. They haven't even researched the history of the child. They don't have the medical background of the child. So you understand how this can just continuously and logarithmically keep causing harm upon harm upon harm. So these are some of the things that are not only in the Family Justice and Accountability Act, but shortened into the executive order, because that's something we can do quickly, where the Family Justice and Accountability Act
Right.
is more time consuming. Obviously, I've been to Congress 4 times during the government shutdown, and then up until it opened. I was literally there while it was opening. It was amazing. That's how many times I went down, and I'm heading back down again Sunday night for this big event on Monday.
Now, the Sunday, the Monday event at the Men's Club.
The
So-
NEDS Club, NEDS, NEDS. the
Meds, I got that wrong.
Meds Club.
Okay, Meds Club. You got all these power people there, but
Yeah,
it sounds
it's
like
a miracle, like, when you think about it.
you're going to walk in the door. Then what do you do when you walk in?
It's a private event. It's MAHA, Make America Healthy Again.
Right.
There's going to be some speeches and so on and so forth, but a lot of intermingling and a lot of just meeting different people and, getting to know them and having them get to know us. So
That's
it's a huge
absolute-
opportunity. It's a gigantic opportunity.
Absolutely wonderful.
I mean, the fact that it's privately invited and you can only get invitation only, and it's generally people that are known.
Right.
Just the fact that my sister and I are not known by them
Now,
specifically.
is your sister going with you?
Yes, the 2 of us are going, so.
She's already been in touch with Secretary Kennedy, right?
She has not yet. I actually, a couple of years ago, he did a speech in Albany, New York, when our governor was taking away all the rights to not vaccinate, and violated all our rights and so on and so forth.
boy.
So he was trying to fight for that, and then I spoke after him. So this was a huge event, and then I did get to meet him briefly that day. I mean, I can't even tell you how many people. We had huge crowds that day, and we were inside the Capitol, and we went pretty viral and so on. But this time is different. This is private. This is going to be.
That's wonderful. Now, what's like the top 5 things that you can end the show? This one, we're going to have part 2 coming up too. But this one, can you give them 5 major points on what you were accomplishing here for the people? All this put together, we want to go for what's the 5 biggest things that you're accomplishing now?
One of the things that I didn't see coming that I see happening now, and we were
Right.
very excited about it. We have, huge teams all over the country. We have national teams and so on, is that the people and Congress are working together. So the people, like
Bingo.
I said, they're getting in their rightful places, we the
Bingo.
people, okay? Because for a long time, it's like they're up here and we're down here. Now
Right.
we're showing, we're bringing them in and we're saying, listen, because a lot of people have lost what that is, and schools have been not teaching things properly. Colleges are not teaching, politics or, your civil rights or and all that properly. So what I've been doing is training them. I do a free training every Wednesday night. And people come in through Zoom from all over the country.
Free training?
Yeah, I do a free training.
That's a big one.
Every Wednesday night
How do you
on
do a
Zoom.
free training? Tell them how
They can just hop on Zoom. They'd have to find me on like Facebook, Francesca Amato Benfield, and just look for the Family
And
Justice.
it's a free Zoom?
It's a free Zoom every Wednesday night, and they can hop in, and they can be a part of what we're doing. It's the federal bill initiative.
Jump on it. You need things like this.
yeah.
Jump on it.
Yeah, and so we're empowering the people,
Right.
because the power belongs to the people, and that's where it's always belonged, and it's never operated that way.
Right.
So that's part of what's happening with this movement, and that's been very, very exciting. I have major team leaders all over the country. Some really awesome people God has sent our way. That's some of the things. Now, with the executive order, and pardon me, with the bill itself, okay. Once it gets enacted in all states, because it is an emergency, once it gets enacted in all states,
Right.
and some people have said, oh, this is just a state issue. But that's not true. The situation is that it gets federal funding, and they're violating the Constitution of the country. So it's not just the state constitution. They're violating the main Constitution. They're violating the Articles of Human Rights, and they're violating the Americans with Disability Act. This is all federal. So when they do that, this state issue that you're talking about is a federal and state issue. And so it has to be fixed by enforcing the law. It's just that simple, which
That's
is what
simple.
our Department of Justice is supposed to enforce the law.
Right.
And they're not doing that. So
Right.
this is all part of
Yet.
the bill. Yet. Now, the other, you asked for 5, so that's 2. So 3 more. We are making sure that gag orders, which are unconstitutional, which judges give to parents to silence them, that is unconstitutional. We're making sure that that is no longer an issue.
Silence it for what?
They literally tell you can't talk about your case, you can't go on social media.
Why?
And I understand there's a respect aspect to protect children in certain degrees,
Okay.
but they're taking that to the outer limits. So when children are being harmed and damaged in family court, you should be able to speak about them, and it is your First Amendment right to do so. Period. You're not yelling
Okay.
fire in a crowded movie theater and there's no fire. You're saying this is an emergency, as if your child was abducted. They would know your child's name, your child's face, your child's shoe size, right? Because something dangerous is happening to your child.
Right,
You'd be
right.
able to speak about it.
Right.
You'd be able to put it out there. Well, that's what we want to make sure, that gag orders are unconstitutional, and that must be handled. Another aspect of the bill is that we're stripping these judges of this pseudo immunity that they've given themselves, because once you violate the Constitution, the Articles of Human Rights, and the Americans with Disability Act, you no longer have qualified immunity. So we're making sure they're also, so that's treason on American soil. That's how
Right.
these courts have been getting away with it for so long. Even attorneys will tell you, shh, don't talk about your constitutional rights here. Excuse me? This is my country, and we're not going to not talk about it. So we want that all enforced, and
Wow.
with remedy, recompense for the families. What does that mean? That means that they can civilly and criminally charge these judges when the children are unalive through a court order.
That's what I wanna
Or
hear.
damaged through a court order, or harmed through a court order, okay? So they can now have remedy and relief, recompense for these damages. And some of it will be multiple different ways.
So now we're holding judges accountable
Accountable, that's right. And it has to be.
Okay,
It has
that's
to be.
4. Give us another good one.
And one of them is there's a syndrome that was created by a Dr. Richard Gardner back in the 80s. It's called parental alienation syndrome. It is a pseudoscience. It has been disproved. It's not peer reviewed. There's not a psychologist or psychiatrist or doctor worth their salt that would actually support it. It's been disproven. What he has done is only against mothers. If a mother reports abuse, he told the courts that all across the country in the 80s that they had parental alienation syndrome. They're trying to alienate the other parent that's abusing the child. And he tried to normalize, I don't know if I can say this here, but he tried to normalize abuse against children by fathers who were abusing their children, okay? And he tried to normalize that. He has it in his publications that is a normal behavior, okay? This is absolutely sick. So the courts today may not have somebody there to diagnose you technically with PAS,
Right.
okay? But what they're doing is they're using that. It's kind of like underlying and hidden. So mom reports abuse, all of a sudden, and it's been proven over and over again, the children are now removed from the mother, placed with the abuser, and she has this pseudoscience fake diagnosis that doesn't exist. Okay, there's no.
This is
so
just
This
absolutely.
is part of the issues in the courts that I've witnessed over the years, and so so with that, we are making sure that that is completely, exposed and stripped away, and judges can no longer use that pseudoscience. And it's happened to a few fathers too, fathers that have protected their children against a woman abusing them. They've done the same thing to them. So
How did this get so out of hand?
again, I think it's the enemy, it's the devil.
The enemy,
It's
you
the
hear
enemy.
this out there? Because this is, now we're really talking serious here. We're talking about the enemy, which she means, of course, spiritually, and the evil one, okay? And he's gonna come in and he does a lot of things and steal, kill, and destroy. And right now, she's doing something incredible for everyone that's out there with troubled families and untroubled families. Okay, and especially her sister too. With the diet and nutrition and the helping they're doing to many people. And you see, that's what it's all about. It's all about doing a God's gift that he's giving her and her sister also, if I can mention Tony
Yeah.
Jean, that is so inspiring to me, and I know it's inspiring to you because look at the good that they're doing, and that, because I'm going to bring this up because it's the power of God working in this woman's life, okay, and it's only by the power of God, or else you will see this thing fizzle out and die like everything else that we've seen in the past, but the truth will always prevail sooner or later. And that's what we're seeing here. And I'm just telling you, I hope you've been blessed as so much as I, because we're going to come up on part 2 next. Okay, we have a lot more things to cover. This has been an exciting show. I hope you got as much as it that I did. Get onto the free Zoom meeting on Wednesday. We'll let you know more about it. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.